Hey there, Rick Sage, recording at the Rimrock Studios in Bishop, California. Welcome to Season 2 of the Outdoor Biz Podcast, where I speak with retailers, brand managers, athletes, executives, and others in the outdoor biz and share their stories, tips, advice, productivity tricks, and ideas you can use to take your career or business to the next level. Today's podcast is brought to you by Audible. I've used Audible for many years now. I'm on the road a lot, and Audible allows me to enjoy the great books I discover or are recommended by friends. Get a free audiobook download and 30-day free trial at www.audibletrial.com/theoutdoorbizpodcast. There are over 180,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player. Start your 30-day free trial with Audible today. So, hey guys, we are in Denver, Colorado, the first Outdoor Biz Live podcast. Very excited to be here with the guys from Wayfinder, a new co-working space in downtown Denver. Thanks for being here, guys. Thanks for hosting me.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thanks for having us.
This is awesome. We're at a little speakeasy room off of a brewery. You might hear a dog barking in the background, but we're out of the space for now because they're doing a bunch of construction. I think in the intro you may have heard I think there was a guy drilling some concrete that I recorded, so you may have heard that in the intro. Right. But yeah, so why don't we start with introductions. Let's make sure everybody knows who you guys are.
Sure. My name is Joe Ewing. I am one of the co-founders of Wayfinder and the current executive director.
Cool.
My name is Britton. I'm also one of the co-founders of the co-working space, and I also run a business taking people on cycling trips throughout Central and South America.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
Hey everyone, I'm Glenna Barron, and I work for One Seat Expeditions as the head of operations, and I'm also helping these guys as the director of community at Wayfinder.
And Peter's here.
I'm Peter Downing, and I am one of the, and will be one of the dedicated desks at Wayfinder, and I run a small company called Suffer Better with my partner, Bob.
That's awesome. So why don't we start with how you guys got into the outdoors?
Sure.
As kids, how'd that all come about?
Oh, man. Definitely, for me, it was a lot to do with my family. I had a really active family, grew up skiing, grew up on the Front Range of Colorado here, just south of Denver. Really started realizing my passion for or my trajectory for a career in the outdoor industry in high school when I participated in Outward Bound. I actually attended an Outward Bound focused expeditionary learning school. It was a cool charter school focused on Outward Bound principles. And then I was an Outward Bound instructor for a number of years where I met Britton. Britton and I worked together in Costa Rica. I guess it's about 9 years ago now, which is crazy to think about.
Wow.
So we reconnected when
Has it really been 9 years?
It's wild. Yeah. So that, definitely just kind of taking advantage of the Colorado outdoors, all the fun stuff like whitewater kayaking is my big thing.
Okay. Yeah. Cool.
For me, definitely, I think it kind of goes back to just being a crusty nosed kid growing up in a rural area where we just had a ton of space where I grew up. And so I played outside constantly. And I think that just sort of it just felt like a natural step to then, slowly get into backpacking trips with buddies and a lot of, self-supported bike trips. But yeah, like Joe said, a lot of overlap with the whole Outward Bound thing. And then that kind of, I think is what really kicked off the sort of career path as winding and meandering as it has been, but in the outdoor industry.
We've all hacked our way.
I know it's all over the place.
Yeah.
But yeah, working as a guide, working as an instructor, in more of an educational capacity, but also leading client groups on trips throughout different parts of Latin America. But yeah, I'd say the core of that is kind of just being in rural parts of Eastern Washington State and playing outside as a kid. And just kind of always being obsessed with finding out what was around the next bend, so to speak. And
exploring.
So, totally.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
And your story?
Yeah, so my story is a little bit different. I actually grew up just outside of Chicago, so not a ton of access to the outdoors, but had a ton of family in Colorado and California, so just grew up getting out here and hiking and skiing. After college, I worked in advertising and tech and knew that was not for me. So I moved out to Colorado, and just kind of along the way, I knew that I did not want to be sitting in an office all day, every day, and just made traveling and the outdoors priority. Started with One Seed about a year and a half ago, and have not looked back.
Awesome. So what was your first outdoor job?
Oh, man. I mean, it was probably One Seed.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
So from tech to that?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
No, and I grew up doing camping trips, like the Overland Adventures, for middle school and high schoolers, and loved all that. My mom was a flight attendant, so grew up flying everywhere and just being thrown in an airplane by yourself as like a 9-year-old. I always loved adventure and travel, but didn't get to make that a priority until my late 20s, and I'm very happy that I did.
You did? That's awesome. How about you guys' first traditional outdoor job?
I did the camp counselor thing.
Okay.
Yeah. College.
Yeah.
And then
What was your camp? Did you have an instructor name? A counselor name?
I had one. I
Like a
taught
funny
sixth
alter
grade.
ego or anything?
the other counselors have a name for me, but I don't think. I'm gonna withhold that from the audience.
For obvious reasons.
Yeah. We don't want that on tape. It's cool.
Something along the
Or on
lines of
SD cards or
junk
whatever.
show. But yeah, I also did a bunch of raft guiding as well. So that was the more commercial thing.
Yeah.
For me, I would say, it's like a slightly more like traditional job in the outdoor industry. It was, so when I went to work with Outward Bound, it was initially in the marketing and communications office. And I did that for a little over a year, and then every time instructors would come back with their student groups from these fun trips and these awesome adventures, it was like, what the hell am I doing here? Like, I need to, I just knew that was going to be where I was way more valuable and way more inspired, and so made that transition to then working as an instructor. And that was kind of the beginning of then a number of other organizations and jobs that I had.
Cool. How did the idea for Wayfinder come about? You guys all have been friends for a long time, and
yeah. So Brendan and I met a long time ago, as well as Chris, and it was all the three of us all knew each other, but we all came together, I guess, in April of 2017. But about a year ago, in January, Britton gave me a call. I was living up in Snowmass, Colorado, and Britton called me. I think I was on a chairlift, and he said, I'm sitting here with Chris Baker, who's our third co-founder. He runs One Seed. And we had this idea that we want to bring Desta in, which is my company, and bring Desta, Revolucion, One Seed, maybe a couple other businesses, and just get a house and a keg, and have some dogs running around and see how that goes. And then and I was like, yeah, I'm in. Sounds good. I can't wait to get the hell out of the mountains. I miss my family and all this stuff. So I kept reconnected when we came down to Denver, and it all started because of beer and pizza.
Wow, cool.
Yeah.
And wanting to work together.
And then it kind of snowballed from there.
Awesome.
And leading up to that, I had, when I first moved to Denver, was just kind of trying to redesign some things with Revolucion, which is the company that I run. And reached out to a bunch of folks in Denver that were kind of loosely in that world of adventure travel and whatnot. It was like radio silence. And then Chris, who's just like an amazing guy, was like, yeah, come by the office. I'll pour you a beer and we can just talk and see what connections there are. Yeah. And so we did, and there was just like an immediate sense that like by being surrounded by someone else who's working on sort of similar things and we can share resources and best practices. And so at the time he was working out of an office just down on Platt Street. And it was this great little studio spot overlooking the river. And that's actually where I met Glenna and the One Seed team. Yeah. And I was like, look, wherever you guys end up moving, because their lease was ending, the price in that area for any office space is out of control. And so I was like, I'll take the broom closet, like whatever it is. Like I want to be surrounded by you guys because it's just, it helps so much. Yeah. And And then that was like what initially kind of began the conversation. We're like, well, who else might be interested? And we really did. Like, I remember looking on like Craigslist for like a mixed use zoning house that we could just move into, and everyone could have their own room. And then we just started reaching out to a bunch of people in our networks, and the response was like pretty overwhelmingly positive, that at least for people in that community, that kind of outdoor inspired and driven world, like there were a ton of small teams or like, solo entrepreneurs that were like, man, I feel like I'm flying solo all the time. And so to be surrounded by similar like-minded people working on,
that's got related things, because I feel the same way. I'm in my little, hovel there in Bishop doing my podcast. US. Yeah. I'm there by myself,
Yeah, totally.
It's awesome being around folks. And Peter, what's your connection to these guys?
So I met these guys. There's a local organization called Coactive. And these guys were at a happy hour we did. It was funny because I only went because my daughter did the food for the happy hour. So
I didn't even know that.
So she was like, Dad, you got to show. So I showed. Yeah. And I met these guys, and they were talking about this. But it was a different space at the time. You were looking at, I think, a different location. But our little company, I've been on my own working out of my house, and the thought of being in a collective communal space with other people passionate about the outdoors just got me. Yeah. So I've been psyched about it since I met these guys, way back. But I don't even, that was right at it was early on when you were just sort of getting the ball rolling. And so it sounded like a great call. So I committed then, and I'm still
and I think it's an awesome model, because there's a lot of conversation about the same thing in the little town I live in, Bishop. There's folks, there's a woman who's talking about creating she has a retail space, and she's going to not bust open the wall, but take over the space next door and do something similar where people can come in and, they're going to put a climbing wall in the back. You want to get in a quick workout, you get in that space, do some work. So it's an interesting model. And you guys have a unique situation in that it's a co-op in addition to co-working space.
Yeah. So the co-op model is something that I'm mildly obsessed with. The cooperative business model, as any one of my colleagues can tell you. But the co-op model came up when we were trying to figure out how to, make this a viable business above and beyond, just having a shared office space. Realizing that no one person in particular wanted to manage all of the, household chores we would have had if we just got a house together. So we were just like, maybe this should be run as an autonomous business, but one that has a business model whereby the members have a financial incentive to help one another out. So the idea with the cooperative business model in this case is slightly different than that of REI or Ace Hardware or those types of co-ops, where you basically, if you're a member and you have an office space, whether it's a dedicated desk, a floating desk, or a private office, you basically have a proportional dividend that's allotted to you at the end of the year based on how much we're generating in net profits. And net profits is we're basically able to cover our bases in terms of operating expenses and rent that we're on our commercial lease, renting out the space to the individual members. But then we have a number of ancillary things that we do to generate revenue on top of that, which ultimately goes back to the members.
Cool.
So we want, obviously we want to cultivate a space that's, helps people grow their businesses. But, for us as scrappy entrepreneurs, business people, we want to be able to save some money, make money back at the end of the year.
Everybody shares in the work, exactly, and everybody benefits.
Exactly. And there's just this amazing sense of ownership that comes. I mean, you have literal ownership if you're a part of this.
And how many members do you have of the co-op?
Currently, we're right around 25 different companies. So the companies will act as a member. Some people are individual solo entrepreneurs who also can access as a member. We also have an additional tier of membership that's available to companies that don't necessarily require office space but still want to be a part of the community.
Oh, cool.
For example, if businesses are in town for the outdoor retailer trade shows, and they need a place to set up shop while they're in town, or they want a place to meet with clients or reps or anything like that, our space is open to that. So we have, ideally this is designed to support these small businesses that are trying to scrape by but do what they love to do.
Who are some of the businesses that you have on board out of the 25?
You want to dig into that?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm one of them. I think that's actually part of what's kind of cool and unique is that, like, obviously the way that things are structured, there's an inherent incentive for collaboration and for creative sharing of resources. But yeah, I'm like I think in a lot of ways a perfect example of some of the people that are going to be sharing this space. I have the local teams that I work with for all the trips that we operate in Latin America. But it's still basically just me as like the main admin person, selling and designing and doing the classic entrepreneur scenario where you're doing everything all the time.
The trips, washing the dishes,
exactly. And
play some toilet paper rolls.
And so it just feels so much more like things have a chance of succeeding when you're surrounded by that energy and people with similar passions. And so Revolucion, that's my company. I'll be there.
And we'll link to all you guys' businesses and everything in the show notes.
Fantastic.
Yeah, great. Awesome. Peter with Suffer Better, community of endurance athletes. We have a guy named Kelly. He started a company called Cocapelli Pack Rafts.
Oh, yeah.
It's pretty impressive. Like, on his own has basically figured out how to get these really, really nice, high quality professional rafts manufactured and distributed worldwide. And it's like,
I think he sells to somebody in Bishop.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
They were really fortunate to have their rafts in a really popular documentary where some guys rode their bikes across Mongolia and used that to go across the river. So Cocapelli Pack Rafts.
Boom. Yeah. And in fact, the same guy who shot that film, his name's Joey Schussler, he's going to be providing some photography. We'll have his photos framed and put up in the space. So it's all a community. But I mean, a couple others that come to mind. There's a company called Iconic Adventures, who I've actually been I've worked for them before, but they organize a bunch of really, really cool and kind of top notch like corporate travel.
And then Glenna talked about
Glenna and One Seat Expeditions. Chris, the other co-founder, he started that, but Glenna works with them. She can talk about that.
Yeah. So head of operations for One Seat Expeditions. We do adventure travel expeditions all over the world. So the majority are hiking and trekking trips, a couple biking trips. We work in 7 different countries all over the world.
Awesome.
And then 10% of all revenue from your trip goes towards microfinancing in the country where you just took a trip. So we have a big focus on microfinance and investing in entrepreneurs, which is all the more exciting.
What kind of adventures do you guys do?
Yeah, so everything from Mount Kilimanjaro in Tanzania to various treks throughout Nepal. So Everspace Camp. We also work in Peru, Argentina, Chile, Colombia, and Bhutan. So
awesome. That's great.
Yeah, it's been great, and the perfect mix of travel and social impact, and just very fortunate to be there.
And so we just were there, and we heard the drills and the saws and everything going on. When's opening day? When's launch day?
So that's a really good question.
Whenever they get done.
So we are actually hosting an outdoor retailer after party, along with some of the exhibitors from outdoor retailer are going to come down. Carabiner Coffee kind of launch party. We're doing a big raffle, and all the proceeds are going to the Access Fund, which protects climbing areas around the U.S. if not beyond. This Friday's a big day. Although we won't be fully open for all the offices won't be quite open yet.
And are you guys working out of there now, or you're waiting to move in?
We spend 12 to 16 hours a day doing manual labor so that we can.
Hammer nails and painting and sanding.
There's one conference room and we have Wi-Fi, so go do some computer work and then go paint some walls and then
there were 30 of them in that conference room when I first got there today.
Okay, I missed that part.
Yeah, we're shooting for an official open around the 9th of February.
Awesome. And then it seems in the outdoor world now, a lot of retailers and people are doing events. Events seem to be very popular, right? It's a way to get consumers and customers and just outdoor like-minded folks together. Are you guys going to continue to do events throughout the year, like slideshows and?
Absolutely. That's one of the biggest things. I mean, obviously people love attending events with like-minded folks and going to film screenings and stuff like that. But another dimension of that is that's one of the ancillary revenue generation options for the co-op. So we rent the event space out to anyone who wants to rent it, but at a half price rate for members. Ideally, that's a way to put the icing on the cake, I guess, for the members.
That's great.
Yeah. I can tell you that for us at Suffer Better, we've got events that we want to talk to these guys about. That we've got some things coming up that we totally want to do, because we traditionally do them at running stores, right, where a lot of the community hangs out. But for us to be able to bring that community to this place is super cool for us, and fits right in with what we're trying to do. And
I think even beyond the sort of more traditional event idea, like there's all sorts of like big picture vision includes ideally like kind of being a place that's a platform as a voice for the industry, talking about conservation issues. The reason why OR is coming to Denver this year, like let's have conversations about that. So hosting panel discussions, film screenings,
that's awesome.
And and even beyond that,
get the local politicians down there and tell them what a great job they're doing if they are, or what a horrible job they're doing if they aren't.
Exactly. We'll just oust them and then restart new.
That might
Peter for Congress.
What kind of nonprofit work do you guys support?
So we're still kind of getting into that. Obviously, the outdoor industry really lends to an inherent need to conserve the natural environment. So being able to support nonprofit organizations like the Access Fund and like Protect Our Winners, those types of organizations are super important. But we're still figuring out how to make sure we have the concrete holes in the ground finished before we open. But realistically, once we get up and running and we kind of get down to a well-oiled machine, we want to hear from the members. This is a democratic.
Is there a nonprofit that's a member?
If there is, I'm really sorry. I'm forgetting.
Maybe not yet.
Right now, I don't believe.
Because that could be a potential too, right?
Absolutely,
absolutely.
No, and it's been a big part of the conversation from the very beginning as well. Just like, how can we make this more than just a co-working space? And I think it speaks to the co-op model in that, like, it's not the typical setup where a normal co-working space, there's an event, and it sort of just feels like another thing that like is just getting in the way.
Right.
Whereas like if Peter at Suffer Better hosts an event or wants to bring people into the space, like me as another member of the co-op, I'm going to benefit from that. Whether that's directly or indirectly, the people that he's bringing into the co-op might be interested in what I've got going on, and vice versa.
Absolutely.
And I think that extends to a lot of the nonprofits that are based here locally as well as nationally.
Right.
And so Denver being such a huge hub for the outdoor and recreation industry in general. I mean, like we've had a lot of interesting conversations with Luis Benitez.
Yeah, sorry. You guys are on the cutting. One of the states that's on the cutting edge. Now that you have a Department of Outdoor Rec. Government.
I mean, and it's recognized now by the government.
Right on the cusp, but to be connected with Luis,
it's huge. He's been a huge champion for us, which is fantastic.
He was on the show a few episodes back. Yeah,
he's a great dude.
He's great. And so, what other outdoor activities do you guys participate in yourselves? Everybody in Colorado does everything.
I know, it's true.
I may be the one person who doesn't rock climb.
I don't.
In Colorado. Okay, maybe not. So I prefer prefer to roll with gravity.
I'll with you.
Yeah, I mean, just
if both my feet leave the ground at the same time, something went wrong.
Yeah,
For me, I mean, I definitely fell in love with mountain biking when I lived in Costa Rica. But then I moved to Colorado and I was like, this is out of control. Like the access and the number of countless miles, I mean, there's just access to so many different places. I never really, I guess it took about a year of living here to fully understand, I think, the like depth of what's available here in Colorado.
That 1 year you've been here, you rode the Colorado Trail. He's done just about every badass ride you could do in the state.
Yeah, I've tried to take advantage of it, and I think as soon as you just sort of hurl yourself at what's available here, you really understand why there's so many people who are just head over heels in love with the mountains and the rivers and everything that it has to offer. And so,
don't you mean, Glenna? How about you?
I mean, I keep it pretty simple. Hiking in the summertime, like every weekend, and then skiing in the wintertime. And then, I love to swim. I swim at the gym, but then go out to Grand Lake in the summers. Cool. So just getting outside.
And she's going to be a fly fisher person.
And I want to get into fly fishing next summer.
That's a good thing.
Yes. Yeah. That's next goal.
Yeah. That's it.
Yeah.
And so, maybe I'll change this. Typically, do you have any advice or suggestions for people wanting to get into the outdoor biz? And then maybe also, now that you've gone under the task of starting this co-op thing, maybe you have some advice for someone in Bishop or Jackson Hole or someone that might want to start something like this.
Sure, I can start that conversation. I think everyone is going to have input on this one. But in terms of starting a business in the outdoor industry, community is a huge part of that, and all of us realize that as entrepreneurs in that space, realizing how valuable or invaluable really it is to be connected with people who've gone through the same challenges, who have figured out the answer to this question that you can't. It's a really community driven thing, but it's also a massive industry. I mean, everybody loves that $887 billion number, but the vast majority of the businesses in this space aren't making billions of dollars. They're making significantly less than that, but they tens of dollars. I have hundreds of dollars in this. Right. I mean, it's really all about helping each other out, and personally, I would say if you're in Colorado, come hang out with us. But if you're
in Colorado,
if you're elsewhere,
check it out.
If you're elsewhere, like just tap into the community. Don't separate yourself from all the other businesses. There's something amazing that happens in the outdoor industry specifically, that even if you're in a pseudo competitive space or like competing with another business, like Britton with Revolution, it's pretty astounding that Britton and Chris Baker connected in the first place, because Chris could have just been like, no, you're competition.
Yeah.
But it's never that way.
That's the beauty of this whole industry, and it's always been that way. It's one big giant tribe, and we can compete day to day in the retail shops and for each other's business. But at the end of the day, we can sit around and have a beer and have dinner.
You're exactly right, and that's beautiful.
It's awesome.
Yeah, and we really we really want to cultivate that.
Yeah, no, that's
place.
You nailed it. Yeah, it's a huge community.
Yeah, so I think that's a huge thing.
In terms of breaking into it, I mean, I as I said, I don't have a huge outdoor background, but I knew that's what I wanted to do. Yeah. I had the transferable skills, as I said in interviews, to get a job in one seat and do what I really love doing. I knew that I didn't want to be at an ad agency or at a tech startup, and all great experiences, and it got me to where I am now. But don't be afraid to try something different and go to different networking events and things you wouldn't expect. And the opportunities are out there, and the people will see the value also. You don't have to have been a Knowles instructor to get the perfect dream outdoor job.
I think as our industry continues to grow up, in brands and people that have been in for a while have recognized that we need a little bit of cross-pollination, and folks from the tech industry or from the, an engineer, or, I mean, obviously they do that in the product side of the world, but we need people from these other industries. They bring a whole nother level of skill and tools to the trade, so it helps.
Without question. And one of the cool things about this community is we've, people that just participate in outdoor activities or like to go hiking on the weekends with their friends, like you end up doing these sorts of activities together, and inevitably some cool conversation is going to come up. Like, I mean, we all, Britt and Chris and I, we sort of, I mean, Britt and Chris's companies are really similar, but we're just like-minded people, and we wanted to be around each other. It's just spend some time in the outdoors, get inspired to do something awesome. And I think a big drive for us is being around people that not only are going to help our respective businesses grow, but people that we can, tap on the shoulder and say, hey, it's a powder day. We should probably leave and go do some.
We need to call in well today.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think
that happens to Bishop a lot.
I'm sure that's
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, I think like one of the cool things about, and like, I don't know, I feel like it's also worth prefacing by saying, like, I don't have all the answers. Like, I'm still trying to figure this out. Like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing on most days.
Yeah.
But
we're all making stuff up.
But like having spent time and committed energy to like trying to find my place, I think it's worth noting that, and it's not like it's totally unique to the outdoor industry, but there's a spectrum. You don't have to be, like Glenn was saying, a Knowles instructor to like find your place, at the climbing gym or whatever. There's an entire spectrum, whether that's like just curious about what it even means to go backpacking or whatever, to becoming like, a full-on certified guide or instructor. Like you can find whatever level you're at, and I think that's pretty cool. And so I think a lot of people will make an attempt and either feel maybe intimidated or feel like the people they're surrounded by aren't up to their level, perhaps even. But I mean, especially here in Colorado and in Denver, you can find any level of whatever outdoor activity, and I think that there's definitely a culture here for it. And I think another thing,
you're right, even if you're not a badass climber or mountain biker,
you don't know exactly,
but you have a marketing skill set or a tech skill set or something else, don't be afraid to come and join the tribe.
Yeah,
we need you.
Absolutely,
at some levels. Yeah, that's great.
And I think another thing is, well, just like that Denver, like as someone that's one of the many transplants, I've been here for like 2 years now, and I think I meet a ton of people from all over the country, and it's fun. There's this fun energy in Denver because people are here because they want to be here. You don't go to like, there are a lot of other cities where you meet people like, God, I want to get the hell out of this place. It's a shithole. You come to Denver, it's like, I moved here because I totally decided, I intentionally made a decision to be here.
Probably per capita, Denver has more outdoor folks. I would Seattle might give them a run for the money.
I think people move here because of that. I know Peter and I are, been here a long time, but I mean, the way I see it with Denver, I mean, a lot of people get kind of weirded out about people migrating here, but my biggest thing is Denver was a little too redneck for me when I was a kid, to be honest, and I'm really glad it's evolved to where it's
grown up.
Denver is a great progressive city with tons of outdoor people and innovative minds, and it's fantastic. I love it.
The energy's
and the
really
food's way better
here
too.
Yeah, the food is definitely
the food and bars.
No more steak and potatoes.
So do you guys have any daily routines you use to keep your sanity through all this? You meditate,
yoga, and Pabst Blue Ribbon.
Yoga and Pabst, that's a t-shirt right there.
Man.
I don't know.
Run, clear the head for a run.
Yeah.
For me, it's a bike ride. It's like the exact same sort of thing, but on a bike, and it definitely resets things. But that's more than anything. But lately it's been like there's been so many late nights getting the space ready.
Sure.
It's just hanging out and drinking beer and.
But that's the best part about it. I mean, we could stay at the space sweeping and painting until 2 a.m, but we have that camaraderie that's like that's completely invaluable.
Yeah.
We can support each other, and that's the best part about all this. I mean, if any one of us individually were doing this alone, we would have given up a long time.
That's right. Yeah. Venna, anything? Yeah.
Man, no, I mean, ditto to everything that they said, and then, swimming, wine.
That's a good one. Yeah. Swimming,
Yoga and Pabst, swimming and wine.
Hey, there you go.
No, I'm going to start adding the PBR into my routine.
Yeah. You guys know the secrets.
Yeah,
you heard it here
now
first.
I got it.
What about some of your favorite books that you read or give as gifts or have inspired you over the years?
Ooh, I get geeked out on entrepreneurship books, so not so much like the outdoor stuff.
That's perfect. Yeah,
the typical Into the Wild, and, the John Krakauer series and everything. Yeah, but one of the books I read recently that was super inspiring to me was a book called Leaders Eat Last. It's a Simon Sinek book.
Yeah. Both his books are awesome.
And it's really sort of realizing like we're all on our own specific journeys, and some people, and there's a lot of businesses that you could work for that are total slave drivers and don't realize that each and every single person that works for you has their own set of emotions and has their own needs and this sort of thing. Like it's so important to recognize those things, and to realize like, hey, for my own sanity, I need to go on a bike ride, or I need to have a PBR. And I think the community that we're, collectively building together, really builds, creates that. Like,
they consider that as part of it.
Exactly. We all genuinely care about each other, and then you add another dimension that I actually can benefit from helping you out financially, but it's not. But that's not really why I do it. I do it because you're kicking your own ass doing this job, and you don't have to do it alone. We can all help each other out.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, that's awesome. What else?
I just finished the Let My People Go surfing.
Oh, great. Another good one.
Yeah. No, it's an awesome book. I love the way he breaks it down. Everything from like the people, human resources, to financial philosophy. So really enjoyed that. And then currently reading Nelson Mandela's autobiography. So going to South Africa in April.
Cool. Yeah, perfect.
Part research, part.
I like it.
He was a great leader.
Nice.
Yeah.
How about your favorite piece of outdoor gear under $100?
Oh man.
Man, almost all of my gear is actually under $100. I just don't have money for it. So everything I buy is secondhand or thrift store.
People who wear Patagonia stuff don't actually do things in the outdoors, right? I'm just kidding.
Under $100? That's a good question.
Headlamp.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good
Gotta
call.
have it. Gotta have it.
It's money well spent. In my book.
Yeah, I agree.
I have. I've gone through a lot of kayak paddles in my life, whitewater kayak paddles, and the one that I've had since I was 17 is the only one that's never broken. And that thing I bought at a consignment store for $50.
That says a lot. Interesting.
Bummer.
Yeah, that's cool.
OG Werner people, if you're listening, build them like you used to.
Exactly. There you go. Oh, sorry.
I 2 years ago I did a big trans South America bike trip, and I scored a sweet deal on a Brooks classic B17 saddle.
Okay.
It was like $50 or something like that. It was brand new. Hands down, I've ridden the hell out of that thing, and it's still my favorite.
That's a good
bike saddle to ride.
Cool.
A really solid camping chair that you can keep in the back of your car, but also take camping.
Yeah, perfect. I like it. That's good.
$20.
$20. There you go.
You could have bought 5.
I know, I should have.
You got $100.
It stays in the back of my car all year long.
You can have a whole set of furniture.
Yeah, right. We can all be there. Come on.
So as we wrap up here, anything else you'd like to say to the audience or ask of the audience? Definitely come and stop by if you're in Denver.
Please do. Pour your beer. Wayfinder is a community place. It's not just for people who work in jobs in the outdoor industry. It's a place for people who are inspired by the outdoors to do what they love to do. If they work a corporate job and they have a remote job and they just every once in a while need to get out and get, refreshed and recharged by the outdoors, we want you a part of that community just as much. So yeah, like Rick was saying, we need, this industry is booming, and we want, and everyone is really passionate about what they do, but there's a lot of people that, don't necessarily want to take that step into the outdoor industry, but we encourage you to, even if it's just on an advisory basis, but come have a beer with us.
Check it out and talk to us. Yeah, exactly. That's great. Awesome. What else?
Just as like parting words, it sounds cliche, but I think especially in the last couple weeks, seeing all this come together, the simple concept of like, make sure that you're doing something you give a damn about, like that you're excited about. Like, the world needs more people that are jazzed about their daily life. And it's sometimes a hard decision to make, and I totally understand that. But if your routine is killing you, like, fucking do something different. Change that.
There you go.
You'll find people, you'll find the support that you need to make that transition. But just do it.
That's great. Perfect. That's right. Good.
Ditto.
Very well said. If anybody wants to reach out to you guys, how can they catch you up with you? On email?
Email is probably the best way. You can reach us. You can check us out on Wayfinder-Co-op. That's Wayfinder-COOP.com. Okay. Or info@Wayfinder-Co-op.com. You can reach us directly, and happy to answer questions. We also feel free to just stop by. There's a coffee shop going to be in there, operated by Carabiner Coffee.
Great.
We're really excited about that. They have one of their old vans in there, and that's going to be the centerpiece of the whole cafe. Come grab a cup of coffee with us. I'll pour you a beer. Don't be shy.
Yeah,
we're at
525
Santa Fe. 525.
Yeah.
We'll put links to all that in the show notes. Well, thanks, guys. This has been great. This is the first
our pleasure,
Outdoor Biz Live.
Super fun.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Congratulations on what you're doing. It's awesome.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right,
Thanks, Rick.
Thanks.
Awesome.
Peter, good job.
Thanks, man.
Sorry, you kind of didn't mean to leave you out there.
Hey, I belong on the outside.
All right, thanks.
If you want more of the Outdoor Biz podcast, you can subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher, or wherever you get your podcast. Be sure and go to the outdoorbizpodcast.com, where you'll find all the episodes, show notes, and much, much more. Thanks for listening, and until next time, be sure to make time to get outside.